Hi, fiber friends. Natalie from Knit and Bolt here. Today we are tackling one of my favorite topics, which is home improvement. Very rarely do we get to talk about these sorts of things, so I'm really excited to share this project with you today. We are reupholstering a dining room chair. First things first, you're going to want to grab all of your tools. I have myself a Needlenose plier. I have a flathead screwdriver. I like a really small head and it's very thin. It's going to help me to pry up all of those staples. So that is my flathead screwdriver of choice. And I have my handy dandy hand stapler. You can buy these at a hardware store. They're great. Um, yeah, this is what you're going to want. You don't want a pneumatic stapler. You don't want a glue. You don't want a nail. You don't want to mess with any of that stuff. Pick these up. They're like 20 bucks. They're great. Versatile as heck. I have already removed my chair bottom from my chair frame, and usually those are attached just with screws. So flip your chair over, take a look at the bottom, and you're going to be able to see those screws. Take those out and pop out your chair. First thing is first, once you get all of this done, you are going to want to remove all of the staples that are surrounding this outer protective layer. And I try to do this as delicately as possible. If I can reuse this layer, I will. If not, it's great to keep it as a template for your fabric to cut the new piece of that when you're finished with everything else. So let's pry some of these screws out. Ooh, yeah, important piece of information. Maybe don't pry towards your hands. Get your little hands out of the way. You will stab yourself. So now I've moved on to the actual cover of the chair and removing all of the staples from it. And again, I'm going to try to be really delicate as I'm doing this because I do need to reuse this as a template for my fabric. If you get a couple of holes here and there, totally fine. But as much as you can, try to like maintain the integrity of the shape so that you know exactly how big you need to cut your new piece. What a workout, y'all. So I am completely uncovered. Let's see, let me just check out the foam here. If the foam is in semi-decent shape, we can keep it. And actually, I don't love these little creases in here. You can see that. So I will probably take some batting, just regular old cotton batting, and put that over this. So sandwich that between my fabric and my cushion just to kind of smooth it out and give me something a little bit new and nice to put under there. But otherwise, this is in really good shape. Sometimes you'll see it kind of chewed up or starting to fall apart. That's when you're going to want to replace it. You can get foam like this at any sort of big box craft store or at sometimes at like a home improvement store. So if you are finding once you get your cover off that it's looking a little sad, that's a really easy thing to do. All you would do is remove everything, get down to your wooden base, put that base on top of your new stuff, give it a little tracey, cut it out with, you could use a jigsaw if it's thicker, you can use a box cutter, X-Acto blade, that sort of stuff. It's a little bit thinner. That is a very easy replacement. So at this point, I am going to, ooh, I might be able to reuse this. So this came in between the fabric and the cushion, and I might be able to reuse this for the bottom so I don't have to cut something else. And then I have this, which I'm going to use as my template with new fabric. Today we are using this incredibly cute kitty cat fabric from the Reading Nook line from Ruby's Art Society by Sarah Watts. I'm a fan of this. This is really cute. And it came in coordinating quilting cottons, which we made a throw pillow out of, which you'll be able to see later. So because my fabric is directional, what I'm going to want to do is to set the top of the image at the back of the chair. so that when I'm standing in front of the chair, it looks correct to me. It doesn't really matter if you're sitting on the chair and it looks correct to you because your butt's going to be on it. So I find it better to put your directional prints so that when you are looking at it, it looks correct. So I'll lay this face down and I have my top of my kitty cat heads at the top of my paper or top of my table. And then I'm going to set this so I know that the skinnier end is the end that is attached to the back of the chair. And the chubbier end is the end where my butt goes. And then I can just really easily just cut around this. I don't feel the need to trace. It doesn't need to be super specific. It just needs to be big enough because once you get it stapled and attached, you can always trim it if you've got too much excess. So you never really have too much, but you definitely don't have enough. You know what I'm saying? I'm just double checking that my kitties look kind of straight. Um, it doesn't really matter, but if you can get it to kind of line up in a cute way, it's just the cherry on top. And now the sad fabric can get recycled. Because I'm feeling a little persnickety about making sure that my kitty cats line up directly, I am actually going to put this batting on first without my fabric. And you can do it just pretty loosely, kind of the bare minimum in staples because you're going to add more staples on top of it with the fabric. And you don't want to do what I did and spend 30 million hours pulling staples the next time you want to reupholster this. And then I'm going to tug on the exact opposite side and put a staple down. In opposition, we're able to create like really smooth surface tension underneath without having to look at it all the time. Then I'm just going to do these next couple on this side. And I can do the same. If you're not really pressing down on the back of that stapler when you're pulling your staples in, you are going to get a little bit of distance in there. You can just grab a hammer and just tap those in. Not a big deal. And I'm going to cut off some of this excess now just to get it out of my way. I'm really only cutting where I've stapled and then leaving all the extra on the sides in case I need it. But it's just giving me a better line of vision into what's going on. So I've done sort of these middle chunks, and now I'm going to go to the opposite sides and leave the corners for last. So second verse, same as the first, pulling this, putting a staple in the center, doing the same on this side. And now we can cut away some more excess, leaving the corners alone because those are always a little bit finicky. So I've literally just cut away, kind of leaving what we consider a seam allowance along the sides that I've stapled. So now it's time to do the corners. And these are tricky just because there's so much mass that kind of accumulates there as you're smoothing out your sides. So what I like to do, there's a couple ways that you can do this. All right. I like to make a box pleat. So I pleat on either side of the corner and then I just pull it and you'll see that I get a fairly smooth look there. With the batting, it doesn't really matter. It's not going to be the finished product. There's going to be something to cover it on top. So I've box pleated. I'm making sure that everything underneath is flat. And then I will just put 2 staples right over each of those pleat sides. Not a million staples. You will make future you sad if you choose to reupholster. And then we can just do some more trimming. And just because it's kind of poofing up a little bit, I might put one right in the back here. It's not necessary, but I feel like the less bulk you have when you get to actually putting the fabric on, the easier you are making your life. So let's do that one more time. I'm going to actually, so I put 3 staples, but this one's pretty far away from my corner. So I'm just going to add another one here. And then you'll see, you get kind of like an even pull on your fabric or your batting. So this guy had a whole bunch of bulk. And I think part of that reason is I didn't trim it quite well enough on my first pass. And we just want to be careful of that because usually the screws are going to end up right in the corners as well. And so you don't want to have a ton of that extra material sitting between the chair cushion and the chair frame. Yeah, you can tighten it up a little bit, but it can make it uneven. So I'm just trying to kind of fold this under and make it as smooth as I can for that purpose. Last corner. I sort of see if I can get a good view of this. Kind of make like a little like shark fin in the back. Try to keep that sort of a single piece and then box pleat from there. Sometimes you can fold it to one side or the other. Whatever you need to do to get the least amount of bulk and the sort of the tightest pull on your corner. Like I said, this is not the finished product. You will not be looking at this part of it. All right, look at that. It's all clean and smooth and nice. And then we can put our fabric on. So I am hoping to get my little kitty faces straight across the bottom. And so when turn it this way so you can see, I'm going to try to just judge it by that line. And so here we've got like a full nose, full muzzle. And this we've got like half a muzzle. So I'm going to back this guy up a little bit. That feels better. Press it there. And tug and put one directly. Flip it over. And it's pretty darn straight. So we can keep going. I didn't want to put too many staples in it without checking proof of concept. So I didn't have to pull a bunch of staples out, but it looks pretty good. So we're going to keep going. So again, we work in opposition. I put the centers in, and now I'm going to do one side and the other side, leaving those corners for last. And this I am going to put some more staples in. Not a ton. You can usually do like every inch, inch and a half. You don't have to go crazy. You just want to make sure it's not going to slip. Because the very worst thing would be to get it on a chair and then find you've got a weird little pucker and you're going to take the whole thing apart. No one wants to do it twice. Right, so I have my top and my bottom done, and now we're going to start to do the sides and really be able to get that surface tension. Start in the middle. All right, it's corner time. So in this instance, because I had a really good field of vision, I was able to get more staples into the corners, which is going to help me create good tension and anchoring to pull against when I'm getting my corners done. So you can do the box pleat again. There's also, you can just do a single fold. So you kind of tuck all of the material under one fold and then just do a single pleat in the corner. Either, I mean, it's really like it's a question of personal taste. It's not, no way is better than the other. It's just a matter of what you want it to look appropriately. So I think I'm gonna do my box pleat again. So that's what looks kind of the best for me. But you can always just like hold it up, try a couple different pleats, see what looks the least intrusive, and then just go with that. Cut away a little bit of this excess. That looks pretty darn good. Let's do some more. And these corners, I'm really yanking on the fabric because you want it to look, flat and tight. And so this is the area where you can really kind of tug on it. So we got the front finished. The back is less important because it's going to be hidden by the actual frame of the chair. But you know me, I'm going to do it once, I'm going to do it right. So I will just take a little extra time and make sure these look just as good as the right, so we have a finished seat cover. Now I'm going to take that layer that was in between my padding and my fabric originally, and I'm going to trim it down to the size of that original backing. And this part is really just to cover up all of this work. That's the whole reason for it. If you don't care, that's okay too. You don't have to cover it. It's just one of those added finishing steps. I think I'm just gonna staple it on and then trim it. And with this, we don't have to pull anything. It's just a cover up. So you can staple it usually um, maybe 1/2 inch to 3/4 of an inch from the outside of the chair cushion and then trim it. So you also like make sure you just cover up your staples. So if that means kind of 1/4 inch or a 1/2 inch from the edge, it's okay too. Do what you gotta do. I'm just kind of lifting up the edge to see, make sure my staples are going to be covered and I'm not getting too far forward on the cushion. And this, I'm gonna work this whole front line and then I'm gonna do this whole back line because we don't need to tug, we don't need to work in opposition as much. It's literally just cosmetic. And you don't have to get crazy with the staples on this. One every 2 inches maybe is gonna do you just fine. I'm stapled all the way around, and now I can trim. I'll trim about it to 1/4 of an inch before the staples. You don't need a lot of excess. I'm ready to attach my cushion back to my chair frame. I recommend using a drill instead of like a screwdriver by hand. There are original holes in the chair cushion frame from the first time it was screwed to the frame, but you don't always know if you're going to hit them exactly perfect. So I recommend the drill just because it's a whole lot less work and you're not going to have to worry about finding those original screw holes. All right, so here it is, my brand new reupholstered dining chair with my kitty cat fabric. If this has inspired you to do your own reupholstery job, I recommend the canvas that we carry. This is from, like I said, the Reading Nook line, and this canvas is great for reupholstery. It comes in lots of fun colors and patterns, which gives you sort of a fun personality, whimsical vibe. If you're looking for something that is a little bit more refined or minimalistic or elegant, I recommend the Warped and Weft Chore Coating. It's that thicker fabric that has the really delicious woven texture. It's great for upholstery and it's going to give you that a very different feel to this guy. Now, if you have kiddos or you happen to be a person who spills relentlessly in their life, our laminate cotton is another great option because it's totally wipeable. So that is a recommendation for me if you need something that like I need to be able to wash it and wipe it. I need it to like work with my lifestyle. The laminate cotton is definitely the way to go. Now, as promised, kitty cat pillow to go with our kitty cat chair. Look at that. Look at that nonsense. Too cute. I hope you try your own DIY reupholstery project. And if you do, please toss it up on social media and tag us so we can take a look.